Hey guys, I'm going to be answering some questions I got from my clients recently, and I'm going to answer the ones that are really interesting, and I'm going to kind of elaborate more on these topics. So, one client asked if we need to be positive all the time for the spells to manifest. Now, this is a common misconception, thinking that if you are positive, you can get you are not blocking the spell work, because as we know, negativity blocks things. However, even if you're positive, you can still be obsessed and attached, and nothing blocks spells most than attachment, because when you're attached, when you're obsessed, even if you're positive, so you're still chasing the person. So the difference is basically that when you're positive and you're attached, you will not be like, oh no, this person left me, this person doesn't love me, this person doesn't care. So you will not have this negative um, resistance. However, you can be, oh yes, I'm gonna get this person back, and just think only about this person, focus about this person, and just be super obsessed and attached still, even if you're not attached in a negative sense where you're in victim mentality, when you're really hurt and all these things. You can still be attached, and you can still be obsessing over it and obsessing over spells. So you don't need to be positive or negative to be attached. So people often are, just thinking that if you're attached, you are being negative, but you can also be positive and attached. So, yeah, that still blocks the spells. So, more important than being positive or negative is to release attachment. Basically, you can't be negative when you release attachment, right? Because when you are not attached, when you detach, you start to feel better, and that's just normal. But the idea is to detach. It's not to be positive, it's to detach. Of course, being negative is bad, absolutely. When you have resentment, anger, all these things, they also block the spell. But any sort of attachment does it. So it can be positive attachment. You can call it positive, right? But you can be in a positive, you can think positively that you will get the person back, but still be obsessed and attached, and it will still block the spell. So the idea, guys, is to detach. That's the whole thing. You need to detach. You need to be okay without this person. You need to be okay on your own. You need to be focusing on you and just following the instructions. That's what you need to do. There's no need to think that you have to have only good days always, because you will not have good days always. That's not possible in life. No spell can do that for you. Okay. So another question I got today was from a client asking if she does all three strong spells. So the strongest one, the skull one, the astrology one, and the expect one, and nothing happens. Should she give up? Now, this is hard to answer. This is very hard to answer because it really depends. Um, I will always tell to you guys, if we do all three spells and maybe do some a couple of times and nothing happens after, I don't know. I would normally say ideally a year, but just to not get you hoping for too long and for you to move on, let's say, I don't know, 8-ish months, something like that. But the thing is that if you really want this person back and this is like your biggest wish, um, impacting the person with more spells and over a longer period of time can actually work. It has in the past. So it's hard to answer this question. I mean, I can give you an answer for your mental health when you should move on. And just the spell work itself, it depends. It really seriously depends. And um, Sometimes even after you move on and it's been like a while, a year or so after the spell, and then what happens is that you will completely let go, and also the universe will be able to arrange the hard situation for you, and then your ex will want you back, and this happens a lot. So I can't really answer this question when it's safe to give up, when, because there's no rule there. There's no rule. But I did answer this client just in the regards of her mental health, because I don't think it's healthy to be stuck on a person for longer than a year, in my opinion. If you're getting no movement at all, it's just best to move on. So, and I actually said her 6 months because, I don't want anyone to be stuck on something. But like I say, when it comes to spells and everything, there is no time limit really. And magic is magic. So it can happen anytime. Okay. Another thing I didn't get asked, but I wanted to address this, and I think it's a really good one, is why sometimes some things will not happen at all. And I don't just mean regarding spells. I also mean when you're gonna be, if you haven't watched this audio, listen to this audio, listen to the audio before this one about a little magical practice I want you guys to do. And this is not for your vibration, this is not for your spell. This is just something I want you to do if you want, and because I want you to see how actually scripting works, what's the real method, and why some things that we're gonna write in scripting that are realistic and we want it to go one way will not go that way after all, even if we detach and everything. So this is because some things are fated to happen a certain way. And yes, we have control over our life. We have a lot of control. But also, some things are just written in the stars, in our natal charts, and they're just fated and they just need to happen that way for our spiritual growth, for a bigger purpose we don't understand yet. And that is why sometimes you don't get what you want, and sometimes, even though you scripted something and detached and wanted it to go a certain way, it did not. And it can also happen with, sorry, my neighbors are sneezing or something. It can also happen with exes as well, because sometimes it's just fated for you to be with someone else, and or something's fated for them, or it's just not meant to be. And sometimes the spell will work, and then you're just gonna fall apart again. You're gonna break up again because something else is just faded. And sometimes, it doesn't matter who you're with, so it will not be faded for everyone in the love department. So some people can just use spells for whoever person they want. And, for some, it's faded. Some person may be faded for their spiritual growth. It really depends. And again, I can't know. That's the thing. We can't know. So, later in life, when things, when you look at things and you kind of think about why something happened, you can see it was meant to happen like this because it led you to this and things like that, right? So it's important to know that some things are simply faded and there's nothing we can do about the faded events. There really isn't. And I do think that we don't have the same things that are faded. Some people will have more, some will have less, some will have regarding to health, or regarding to work, or regarding to death. Some will have regarding to partners, to love. It honestly depends, and it's a whole huge subject. And I'm not gonna get too much into it, but that's something that I wanted just to share, and it's usually for your greater good or for your spiritual growth and leads you to where you need to be in life. It can be some fated event, just destined event. It doesn't have to be regarding an ex, absolutely not, but some other fated event for sure. So just keep that always in mind. And yeah, I think this is it for today's Q&A. I hope this helps. I hope it gave you some more insight to how the universe works, what's the purpose of our lives, and everything else we try to learn on this channel.